Hello, Joelle. How are you?
Hello, Valentina. Very good.
Okay, I'm glad to hear. Welcome back to She. So, today we're gonna have a conversation that so many of us have lived through, and whether we realize it or not, because that's also the thing. So, have you ever found yourself constantly checking your phone, overthinking every text, needing reassurance, or feeling like your entire mood depends on how someone else responds to you? Because it can feel like you're too much, you're too emotional, you're too needy. But what if that's not actually who you are? What if your nervous system has simply learned that love isn't safe? So it needs reassurance. It's the nervous system. So in this episode, we're exploring the struggles that pretty much many women and men too face in relationships and as a consequences with their nervous systems. So why we chase, why silence feels unbearable, why emotional distance can feel like danger, and most importantly, how we begin moving toward, we talked about it already, a secure attachment, a healthy relationship, because that's the goal. Because healing is about teaching your body, your nervous system, that you're safe even when uncertainty is present. So let's dive
All
in.
right. Yeah, so even, and we talked about this, even the work that we have done and you continue to do on yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to do those same things,
Yeah.
that your nervous system is still not going to go into overdrive. It's literally how you recover from it. And for me, I'll use a recent situation. You're getting back into dating, you're getting back into communicating. Well, obviously, you're coming in. We know you're both coming in with two nervous systems. You're both coming in with two uh, wounds. And if we are not authentic and speak upfront authentically right from the beginning about, and even if you do, you don't want any games, you want to come forth authentically, which also means you have to come through vulnerable.
Yes.
And a lot of people can't do that. In this particular situation, to really test out how far I've even grown. Talking to somebody, I realized that my nervous system still does trigger and still does react. And I would tend to lead more in dating towards anxious, okay? Where then, yes, you are possibly checking your phone, seeing where the communication's going. The difference is that I realized I was handling it from a healthy boundary, speaking about communication, coming forth authentically, not coming forth anxious, clingy, or needy, coming forth more with boundaries. It doesn't mean that I still wasn't experiencing some of the other things of why, people don't keep their word, or why men come forth the way they do. And not just men, but women too. But what I want to say is, if I was dealing with a healthy masculine, right, I would expect that somebody's going to come through, and I just made notes, but providing leadership meaning if I say I'm going to do something, they're going to do it. And what's that going to do? That's going to keep my nervous system feeling safe and secure. Staying emotionally grounded during a conflict, being able to have a conversation without deflecting into accusatory or defensiveness, because you have to be able to communicate. So I found that I possibly was dealing with someone that maybe hasn't done that inner work. So when I was coming forth vulnerable from the truth, speaking what my true intention was of getting to know somebody on a soul level, getting to know somebody authentically from the inside out, staying very emotionally grounded, even though I was triggered, I was a little bit feeling anxious. I held my boundaries. And what I mean by that is speaking as a healthy feminine, and this is the things I did because I checked myself. I was being intuitive, listening to my intuition. I was inspiring a connection without forcing it. If the connection has to be forced, I'm not in flow, which means I'm not in my healthy feminine energy. And I'm not going to do that. Ready to receive if there was something to receive, and expressing emotions authentically. In this particular case, it wasn't necessarily received that way. The opposite party was more defensive, not reliable, didn't make me feel safe. So the relationship obviously can't grow because there's no connection that can form. And I find that this is the problem. So if you have two people that are in their wounded and are being triggered and are not self-aware to recover, to come forth, then it would have looked very differently. It would have looked very anxious, coming forth needy, maybe coming forth clingy, which that would have probably made, if a man's an avoidant, recluse even farther back. So, relationships are so complicated and I'm so passionate about it because the only way we truly can ever have a successful relationship is to take the risk of being hurt. If you think you're not going to get hurt in a relationship, you are. Even if the relationship don't grow, by you putting yourself out there authentically and vulnerable, you're still putting your head on a chopping block, right? You're
That's
still
what I
putting your
want.
head out there.
That's what I wanted to address because you touched briefly in the beginning the vulnerability and the authenticity. I think that this is a very simple exercise and a question that all the listeners can literally ask themselves. Am I ready to step into a relationship or like step into the dating world, I guess how you call it, being me, authentic and vulnerable? If the answer is yes,
Right.
you actually did the work, you healed, because we always carry patterns and traumas from our past relationships. So you healed and you can go and you can approach it in a different way. If the answer is no, I wouldn't honestly jump into another relationship because you're keeping,
No,
you basically will do a copy and paste of the previous one. So
right.
it just a self check, like check with yourself and ask yourself that question, because that's where literally everything comes from and everything changes. Because being vulnerable, yes, you can get hurt, there's the risk, but what do? Like you just want to go with another mask, one of the many that you put on, because you want to, I don't know, perform, or you want to be somebody else, and then all the beliefs that you might have, maybe I'm too much, maybe I'm not that worthy, and then you don't live as yourself. Like, who are you
No.
gonna meet? So definitely that's
Or
that's
or
one question that it's worth
Or
asking.
say this, how I would look at previous relationships. Maybe when someone didn't do something they say they were going to do, I may not have said something because I had loss of the connection,
Mhm.
because I wanted to crave the connection. But here's the thing I've learned. Sometimes you need to stop and ask yourself, stop worrying if someone likes you. Do you even like them? How about that? How about stay there? Because when you start thinking about, why are you worrying if they like you? Do you even like them? And if
Because
you
you're
can't
giving
make
the
the
power
connection,
away. Exactly. But no, and then you're like, you have to always think about yourself, you're the anchor, the security, certainty, stability comes from within. But if you're questioning the other person, and oh, exactly, like, is he gonna like me? Is she gonna like? That's the wrong question. So the quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. So that's again a second question that you should ask yourself. Totally.
and there's things too, like, I learned too. There's a lot of things of the way you communicate to build connection. versus just conversations like, the normal conversations, what's your nationality, blah, blah, blah. Those type of things are great.
Yeah.
But how about when you start saying, how does it feel? How do you want a woman to feel in your presence? That's building connection. Can they answer that? Because here's the thing, you want to start asking them because that then makes male or female. Because you could ask a woman a question who could be avoided and not tapped into her
Hmm.
emotional intellect. But how then they have to think about that for a minute, don't they? They have to think about that. And then that's making a connection. I have also found that I know for me, I no longer will self sacrifice. I know that I am very patient. I am very, but I'm not here to be your I'm not here to fix you, and I'm not here to be your mother.
No.
I'm here to sit in my receiving feminine energy, nurturing, loving, understanding, and communicating healthy by saying, I'm not looking to play games. I'm coming forth 100% vulnerable, upfront, wanting to get to know who you are. And the only way to do that is communication. If the communication is not consistent, that's a red flag. Yes, we have lives. Yes, we have careers, families, different things. And I call, you know what I call? I call bullshit. Because and the reason why I call bullshit, okay? Because I call bullshit because it takes everybody's phone is another organ
Oh,
that's
yeah.
attached to
Right
their
now,
body.
yes, it's attached to my right
This is a
hand.
third hand. This is your
Exactly.
third arm.
Exactly.
So I call bullshit. And for anybody, male,
Oh,
female,
yeah.
you respond to what you want to, you avoid what you want to.
Yeah.
If you have time, it takes, and you see even men out there making videos saying, women,
Yeah.
if, listen,
So
this
many
took me five
coaches on
seconds. If somebody,
Instagram. Totally. Hey, babe, I'm busy. I'll text you
so
tonight.
I'm
That's it.
busy. Right. Just
2 seconds.
be presence. 2 seconds. So because the thing is, it's the key to everything. No matter if you're avoidant,
Yeah.
anxious, if you could even come forth, and this isn't even about having to be healed to start to be in a relationship, because I think people could heal in a relationship if you come up front and say, you know what? I tend to lead a little bit anxious. If someone tells me they're going to do something and don't, that doesn't make me feel secure. That makes me not want to open up to you. So instead of taking those walls down, now you're helping add a layer of another brick. So let's just go up front, be honest. At the end of the day, we're going to come forth honest, truly authentically with our wounds and all. And I know it's hard. This is not easy shit. Especially, I know men to come forth vulnerable. But do you want to be able to really finally have that conscious soul connection? Because, this casual dating world we're in right now is just like it's shallow. There's no true connection.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I'm not settling for less than that. And if that means that I continue to evolve and continue to grow in every situation that's coming in my life from each date, I'm coming forth vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm coming forth upfront and vulnerable. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to get to know you if I'm even interested. If the person can't meet you where you're at in the very beginning, why put yourself through the process that you know
Because
how it's going to end?
But now you know, but before you didn't because your nervous system, as we know, is wired. And so before it was the chemistry, the passion, the butterflies, it was just the chaos that the nervous system is addicted to. And that's why you
Right.
stay without seeing the evidences right here in front of you. What I also want to
And your
address.
intuition knows.
Exactly. No, but you can't because you're so, the ego wants, our ego wants to protect us, wants to keep us safe in the known, in the familiar. So when the ego talks and is very loud, you cannot listen to your heart and your intuition. And plus, if you haven't refined the tools and the techniques yet to go inward and to listen to your intuition, you will never be able to. And should we also talk about how many, and even friends that gives you advices, because like it's normal when you talk and chat and you're like, oh no, and all the strategies that you should use in a relationship, should we say that?
That's bullshit too. I call
Exactly.
bullshit on that too. I'm
No.
not doing that. I'm not
What
going to
is
sit
it?
there and be like, don't text, you wait
Yeah,
20
you
minutes.
have to.
That's just, that, I ain't doing it.
You're
That's
not
total
authentic.
bullshit.
Like, of course, though, you have to check and see. That's how you said something that I like. Okay, we said you have to stop and ask yourself the question, do I want to go and move as a, authentic, my authentic self into the relationship? So that's, but then once you're in it, you can totally heal because you can regulate. You
Yeah.
actually, you can treat that situation as a case study. And it's so interesting because you're getting to know yourself. It's not about the other person, because the other person,
No.
first of all, is a reflection of you. Well, technically, the other person doesn't even exist because it's all about you. And
Right.
but then we're going more into the mystical and the spiritual, but it's just a reflection. So let's not go there, but it's just a reflection. And the question is what the other person is activating in me. And then
Right. And
right,
right.
yeah. And so the interesting and useful thing like comes when you're like, okay, let me stop and pause. I don't know, I didn't get the text that I was expecting. Instead of, okay, now let me just think, no, 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 you pause and stop, and you check within what's going on within myself, because as we said, you got triggered too, and you know how to regulate, because regulation doesn't mean that we're calm all the time. Yes, we get triggered, but we observe and we understand that we know how to ground and regulate. But we also, it's one more time, it's the conversation that we have with the mind and with the heart, because most of the time
Right.
we, like, even triggers, okay, let's identify and understand instead of reacting. Let's observe from outside, and that's how we see the growth.
Right. And stay there for a minute with that because that's exactly the truth. That's exactly it. It's not that you're not going to get triggered, it's sitting with it. And so you have to say, and it might take two, three times. Okay,
Or five
my
or six.
anxiety or my,
Or
or
five.
right, my anxiety. Or, all right, or my avoidance is kicking in.
Yeah.
Let me sit with it. Okay, so the first time where you normally would want to react and be like, okay, sit with it for a minute. Okay, I'm starting to feel a certain way. Instead of reacting, I'm going to communicate. I'm not going to react. I'm going to communicate and say, okay, so I'm trying to make a connection here, and without the situation or the other person, I'm trying to be authentic. But if you're not there or we're not speaking, this is not working for me. Then you're stating your boundary. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you sat with it, you didn't react, you actually communicate it, and then it happens again. Okay. So now it's almost like, to me, it became, now you don't value what I'm saying, because I'm not coming at and attacking or needy. I'm coming very compassionate. I'm putting in my part, coming through, trying to, but I'm not going to carry the connection. So then, if your communication's then not received, and then say it happens again, then at that point you have to say to yourself, okay, I am feeling this. Am I trying to hold on to this for the connection, for the potential, or am I holding on to this because my wound is still there and I'm still running by the wound. That's when you start to get to say, is my wound still running me, or am I saying, okay, this isn't working for me? And although I tried to make the vulnerable connection, it's not aligning, and then walk away. Those are the just That's where it comes to, where can you walk away because you realize, not that you didn't get triggered, your anxiety kicked in for sure, you gave it another chance, but it's the way you recovered from it and it's the way you communicated it versus reacting. You communicated it, it wasn't received or respected, or it wasn't comparable communication. Then you have to say, wait a minute, this is familiar. This don't feel good. My body, my nervous system don't feel good. This is not making me feel safe, which then it's telling you this isn't an aligned relationship for you right now. That's it. And then you got to lose the connection. You got to be okay with walking away.